Good morning, sixth graders. I hope you're having a great day. This lesson is actually for May 11th, Monday, May 11th, because we had our fundraiser on Friday, and I hope you had a great time just seeing everybody at the school. I know it was different than usual, and I appreciate all of you who still worked hard to bring in money for our classroom. We didn't quite make it to the Big Ten, but that's okay because you did your job and you did well, and at least we weren't in last place. Thank you for that. Before I tell you what pages, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what pages we're going to read today. It's 312, pages 312 and 313. 312 and 313. Also, I want to give a thank you to Harmon and to Gabby for the gift cards you sent me for Teachers Appreciation Day. I was really surprised, and I thank you for that. That was really sweet. My shout out today, though, is going to go to Hannah. Hannah, I miss you. And like I said, I know I've said you before, but I don't know how recently it's been. I'm getting to where I forget, so if I haven't said your name, I think I've gone through everybody already, but if I haven't said your name, please let me know so that I could give you a special shout out, let you know that I'm thinking of you and I miss you. Hannah actually lives in Morgan Hill, and I haven't seen her because I haven't gone outside. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about the castle. When I was a little girl, what I wanted for Christmas one year was you remember those little peoples? I wanted a house. Well, I told Santa I wanted a house. He apparently didn't understand what I meant because I ended up getting a castle instead of a house. And it sounds like I'm very grateful. I was very upset at first, but then it was the coolest thing to play with. It had a dungeon and it had a moat. I played with that thing for hours. Yeah, I was about 16 when no, just kidding. I was little, but I loved that thing. It was so cool. And I don't know what happened to it. I wish I still had it. It would have been kind of cool if I still had it. But back then you don't think about keeping your toys. Like now my son had all the original, not my son, my brother had all the original Star Wars toys. And I'm like, Mikey, dude, you should have kept all those. Those were cool. You know, and they could be worth a lot. Not so much worth a lot because they were taken out of the packages, but the fact that he could have still had it would have been cool. Anyway, so if you have not read pages 312 and 313, go ahead and read that now, and then we will discuss the castle and how cool it was back then. All right, so seeing that you probably paused this and that you read it, I'm going to ask you a review question. And the review question is, what family became the royal line following the Norman kings? The Plantagenet line, right? And then who was the first ruler of this line? And it was King Henry II. King Henry II. So let's see, ask questions about the castle, right? Why was the castle important to the feudal lord? Well, it was important because it was a security thing. It served well as a military fortress. If something were to happen, people could go in. They could bring up the gate and lock everybody in there, or at least the king and queen and whatever, the royalty. What features were included in castles for protection? They had the thick walls, towers and moats. They had dungeons. They had gatehouses. They had dragons. No, just kidding. Kidding about the dragons, but they did have drawbridges. The little castle that I had a little moat thing and had a drawbridge, and then there's a little alligator in there, or crocodile in there, so people couldn't swim. And but they had the fortresses there, okay? What was the safest place in the castle? And who lived there? The keep. And the Lord and his family lived there. It was the safest place in the castle. How was the drawbridge used defensively? So it could be raised to keep attackers from reaching the castle, and then once it was raised, it could keep them out of the castle. Most likely, they wouldn't climb the castle. Sometimes you see those movies, they're trying to climb the castle fence or the walls, but then they have the archers that can go down and shoot them as they're coming up. What happened if invaders made it into the gatehouse? Castle defenders would lower a large screen to trap them inside. Okay? So, what, right now I would say choose a volunteer to list what invaders use to attack castles. Think about it. What do you think they would use to attack castles? They had these battering rams. They had tall siege towers. They had rocks and burning rags. They had tunnels. They had fire. They used to call it Greek fire, where they would put the fire on the bow and arrow and then shoot it up at the people. Who had large banquets during the Middle Ages? The wealthy. These large banquet tables. Was the presence of the page and squire important at the banquets? And if yes or no, why? Well, the answer is yes, because the pages waited on the tables. They were kind of like the server at the store. And the squire cut the meat. All right, so they served as a waiter and a cook, kind of. All right. How were guests entertained while they feasted? They had these court jesters, which were kind of like clowns, and they told jokes, they juggled, they danced to funny music, they tried to make people laugh. That was their form of entertainment, and a lot of times if they didn't do a good job, then they could lose their job or their life. All right. What was the food like at a medieval banquet? What did they use for plates and utensils? They used flat pieces of bread as plates and ate with their fingers because there was no forks. Have you ever gone to medieval times? I've gone there before, and they serve this meal, but they don't give you forks. Yeah, because they want you to live like they lived. They don't give you forks, but they give you Pepsi, So I always thought that was funny, but it's messy how they ate, and it's just like nowadays they don't. And back then they didn't wash their hands like they do now, and just disgusting when you think about it. I'm sure they just ate a lot of chicken, because you can eat chicken with your fingers, or pizza. Not that they had pizza back then. How does medieval banquet compare to what people eat today on special occasions? Think about that. What are some of the things that we eat today that they probably could have eaten at the banquets? Some foods served at the banquets are foods that are still eaten today. Some foods, of course, are different. Most special meals today do not contain a wide variety of food, and live birds are not put into a pie. Sing a song of sixpence, a pocket full of rye, 4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie. When the pie was open, the birds began to sing. Wasn't that a dainty dish to set before the king? That was a little nursery rhyme when I was a little girl that we used to sing. Yeah. How would you like to bite into a pie, like a chicken pot pie, instead of it being cooked? A real chicken came out. Gross, right? The medieval guests used their fingers to eat food from a piece of bread, and we get our food on a plate. Sometimes it just depends what you eat. Like if I'm getting a piece of pizza, a lot of times I'll just get a paper towel, and just depends on where I am. So they use utensils such as forks, knives, spoons to eat. In America, if you're like in China or in an Asian country, you would use, chopsticks or something like that. And people at medieval banquets were expected to use table manners, and we are also supposed to have table manners. I know it's different in every country, and in Japan, it's proper to burp. It's like a form of being thankful for what you just ate. It's a compliment to the cook. But in America, if you did that at a table, and especially in my house, you'd get yelled at. Okay, so go to the image, the picture that is there, and it says medieval banquet tables were often arranged in a U shape with the most important guests at the raised table. That's kind of, it's kind of like my classroom, a U-shaped, and then there's the table in the front. So all those people down in the front are the most important. No, just kidding. But that's kind of how they sat. All right. All right. So look at the castle wall, and it just shows you a little bit about some of the castles. There are still castles today in other countries, which I think is so cool. But just look at that, and then after you look at that, I'm going to ask you one question. So kind of look and read all about the castles and see all the different parts of it. And then I'm going to put something in your section containing castles. And if you see those extra videos, if you have time, watch them. It'll be fun. Okay? And then the bottom of the page, it says, what was the role of the castle during medieval feudalism? We already answered this question, but I'm just going to reiterate it again because it's important. It was served as a home for the Lord and his family, and it was also served as a military base or a fortress. All right? So that's your lesson today. I hope you are doing well and that you had a great weekend. I hope that you were good to your moms for Mother's Day, that you loved on her. Some of your moms have not did not think that they were going to have to homeschool the last semester of school, and a lot of them are still working. So I hope you're appreciating your parents, especially your mom, and just love them, be patient with them, and make good choices.